The fifth session of the Senate in the second regular session of the 20th Congress is hereby called to order. Let's bow our heads for a minute of silent prayer. Amen. The Secretary will please call the roll.
Call of members. The Honorable Senator Aquino, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lacson, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcoleta, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pangilinan, Senator Soto III, Senator Tulfo Erwin, Senator Tulfo Rafi, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Camil, Senator Villar Mark, Senator Zubiri, Senate President Gatchalian.
With 18 senators present, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, before we take up official matters, we just want to greet the guests that are here today. Guests of Senator J.V. Ejercito, the JCI Alabang, headed by Queenie Ilagan, are here with us, together with guests of Senator Bam Aquino. These are the PCL President for Northern Samar, Board Member Councilor Emil Ongchuan, Municipality of Lawang, Northern Samar.
We welcome members of the JCI. I was also a former member of the JCI Valenzuela to the Philippine Senate, and also to the councilors and public servants who are here with us this afternoon. Welcome to the Philippine Senate. Senator Erwin,
Yes,
you're recognized.
Yes, Mr. President. Before anything else, Mr. President, my dear colleagues, I rise to congratulate one of our country's brightest sporting heroes, Alex Ayala, for making history by becoming the first Filipina to ever win a Women's Tennis Association singles at the Mubadala DC Open 2026. This is more than a championship trophy. It is a defining moment for Philippine sports and a source of immense pride for every Filipino. For years, Alex Ayala has dedicated herself to a dream that demanded extraordinary sacrifice. She trained tirelessly, competed against the world's best, overcame setbacks, and continued to believe in herself even when the odds were daunting. In one of her social media posts recently, she said, and I quote, "Every dream begins as a seed. When it grows, it cannot be stopped. Kapag lumago, hindi nahihinto." Unquote. Tama ka dyan, Alex. Today, her perseverance has culminated in a historic achievement that will inspire generations of young Filipinos to pursue excellence. Her victory reminds us of a timeless truth: hard work and resilience bear fruit. These are the qualities that define Alex Ayala and several other world champions before her, like Manny Pacquiao in boxing, Carlos Yulo in gymnastics, Heidelin Diaz in weightlifting, Efren Bata Reyes in billiards, Rafael Papaeng Nepomuceno in bowling, and many others. These are also the qualities that define the Filipino people. Across the globe, Filipinos are admired not only for their talent and skill, but also for their unwavering determination, their ability to rise after every setback, and their commitment to giving their very best regardless of the challenges before them. Whether they're athletes, healthcare workers, teachers, seafarers, entrepreneurs, artists, or overseas Filipino workers, they carry with them the same spirit of perseverance that Alex has so magnificently displayed on the world stage last night. Alex's triumph is a reminder that excellence knows no boundaries. One's nationality, size, or resources need not define one's destiny. What matters is the courage to dream, the discipline to prepare, and the resilience to persevere. Mr. President, her victory underscores the importance of continuing our investment in sports development. Our athletes deserve every opportunity to train, compete, and excel because they succeed. They bring honor not only to themselves, but to the entire nation. They unite us, inspire us, and remind us of what Filipinos are capable of achieving on the global stage. Today, we celebrate not only a champion, but also the values she represents: perseverance over adversity, discipline over complacency, and resilience over defeat. On behalf of this August Chamber, Mr. President, I extend our heartfelt congratulations to Alex Ayala, her family, her coaches, and everyone who has supported her remarkable journey. Congratulations, Alex Ayala. You have made history. You have brought honor to our flag once again, and you have reminded the world that the Filipino spirit is truly world-class. Maraming salamat, Alex. Mabuhay po, mga atletang Pilipino.
Maraming
That's all,
salamat,
Mr. President.
Senator Erwin, at tunay pong nagbigay po ng malaking karangalan si Alex Ayala sa ating bansa. At siya po ang nagdala at nagbigay po ng kauna-unahan nating international championship sa larangan po ng tennis. At alam ko ho, katulad ng sinabi ng ating presiding officer, marami hong napuyat kaninang madaling araw, pero yung puyat naman po ay worth it dahil po sa mga ganitong panahon kailangan ho natin ng inspirasyon. At si Alex ay nagbigay ho sa atin ng inspirasyon na kung tayo po ay magbubuklod-buklod, magpupursige, wala ho tayong mga hamon na hindi po malalampasan. Kaya congratulations, Alex. At maraming salamat sa pagbibigay sa atin ng inspirasyon. Yes, we recognize Senator Joel Villanueva.
Yes, Mr. President, just to put on record that this representation filed a resolution, PS Resolution number 554, congratulating and commending Alex Ayala for winning the 2026 Mubadala DC Open Women's Singles Championship, becoming the very first Filipino to win a Women's Tennis Association Tour singles title, and for bringing great honor, pride, and inspiration to the Filipino people. I hope, Mr. President, that we'll be able to tackle this resolution and give honor to whom honor is due. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, we have 11 colleagues who filed resolutions to congratulate Alex Ayala. Ganun po nating kamahal si Alex dahil halos majority na ho ng Senado ay nag-file po ng resolution to congratulate her. So with the indulgence of our colleagues, we will tackle all 11 resolutions tomorrow to give time and chance to our colleagues to manifest their congratulatory message.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. If I was going to ask, with the permission of the body, with due respect to my dear colleagues, marami po tayo nag-file, halos kalahati ng Senado nag-file ng resolutions. Maybe we can schedule it tomorrow. First hour, so that we can listen to all the manifestations of support of the resolution and co-sponsorship of these resolutions tomorrow, Mr. President. I commit to the body that we take it up. Of course, gusto natin pasalamatin at congratulate si Madam Alex Ayala, our superstar, our superhero, our champion, and fellow Agustinian. Yeah, gusto ko sabihin, she's a fellow San Agustin. Kaya proud na proud po kami sa San Agustin. But yes, we can take it up tomorrow, Mr.
Yes,
President.
we promise our colleagues to put it in front of the agenda.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the journal, the fourth session, Monday, August 3, 2026, and consider the same as approved.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion of the majority leader is hereby approved.
So we can tackle immediately the items at hand, Mr. President. I'll just move for the reference of business a bit later. Mr. President, first on the item at hand is we have a move for the consideration of Senate Bill number 1992 under Committee Report number 54. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, we move to recognize the sponsor, Senator Chis Escudero, and co-sponsor, Senator J.V. Ejercito. For the record, Mr. President, there are no longer any members who wish to interpolate the measure, but we'll listen to, yes. For sponsorship, I move that we transfer from the calendar of ordinary business to special orders. I'm
Is
sorry,
there-
Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr.
Consider.
President. We recognize Senator Escudero.
Majority Leader will direct the Secretary first to read the title of the measure.
Yes, we move to consider, Mr. President, ask the Secretary to read the title.
The Secretary is directed to read the title of the measure.
An act enhancing the capacity of government to implement socialized housing projects by improving and rationalizing land acquisition and utilization, amending for the purpose certain provisions of Republic Act Number 7279, otherwise known as the Urban Development and Housing Act of 1992.
We recognize the gentleman from Sorsogon, Senator Chis Escudero.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, in brief, the measure seeks to amend key provisions of the Urban Development and Housing Act to facilitate the acquisition of suitable lands for socialized housing, strengthen safeguards on site selection, and land use planning and align land valuation with recent reforms. To place the full history, rationale, details, and principal features of the measure on record, I move that the complete sponsorship speech and the explanatory note of the Senate Bill number 934, be inserted into the records for the information and guidance of our colleagues. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the explanatory note as well as the full text of the sponsorship speech is hereby inserted.
To afford our colleagues time to go over the measure, Mr. President, I move that we suspend further consideration of the measure while the majority leader is busy having his resolution signed. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, consideration of the measure is hereby suspended.
Mr. President, many members want to co-sponsor the measure.
Mr. President, I move that their sponsorship speeches be also inserted into the records in due course.
It's hard when we're dealing with ex-majority leaders and ex-Senate presidents.
Ex-Senate President, correct.
Former president. So, you want to co-sponsor that? Pwede natin i-reconsider. Mr. President, para hindi magtampo yung ibang members, Mr. President, you suspended consideration. We appeal to the body that we reconsider the measure so that some members can just also give their co-sponsorship speeches. I so move, Mr.
Yes. Any objection? Hearing none, we move to consider again the said measure.
Thank you, Mr. President, and recognize one of the co-sponsors. There's two who will co-sponsor, Senator JV and Senator Joel. Senator Joel is recognized, Mr. President, Deputy Majority Floor Leader.
Yes, we recognize Senator Joel Villanueva.
Yes, Mr. President, considering that the former Senate President already moved for the insertion of the co-sponsorship of this representation, I would yield, Mr. President, so we can do a lot more today. And I just wanted to put on record that this representation is one of the co-authors and the co-sponsor of the measure. Thank you, Mr. President. I will just insert into the records my co-sponsorship speech. Thank you.
We'll insert the full text of the sponsorship speech of Senator Joel into the
Thank you.
records.
We'd like to also recognize a distinguished colleague, Senator JV Erskine. You would also like to just insert into the records his
So
co-sponsorship
we
speech.
also insert into the records the sponsorship speech of Senator J.V. Ercito.
May I ask for a minute suspension, Mr. President?
Session suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President. With that, I move that we allow our colleagues to study the measure further and move to suspend consideration of the
Is
measure.
there any objection? Hearing none, consideration of the measure is hereby suspended.
Super serious.
Mr. President, I move that we resume consideration of Senate Bill number 70 under Committee Report number 55.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
May we recognize the sponsor, Mr. President, Senator Chis Escudero, former Senate President, to sponsor the measure.
We recognize our former Senate President, Senator Chis Escudero.
Mr. President, this bill was sponsored over 3 weeks ago, I believe, and we are now in the period of interpellation. However, since no member registered to interpellate, may I...
Mr. President, with the understanding that the one who was supposed to interpolate, Senator Erwin Tulfo, will no longer interpolate the measure, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move to close the period of interpolation.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the period of interpolation is hereby closed.
Mr. President, I move that we open the period of amendments and recognize the sponsors.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, period of amendments hereby open.
Mr. President, we only have one amendment on page 1, lines 1 to 17, to page 2, lines 1 to 2. Delete the entire section and replace the following with the following. Section 1, paragraph C of Section 28, Republic Act number 7279 is hereby amended to read as follows. Quote, Section 28. Eviction and demolition. Eviction or demolition is a practice shall be discouraged. Eviction or demolition, however, may be allowed under the following situations. C. When there is a court order for eviction and provided, however, that no supersedeas bond shall be required of underprivileged and homeless citizens as defined in Section 3T of this Act to perfect an appeal from such eviction or demolition order, provided further that in lieu thereof they shall submit within the period for perfecting such appeal proof of indigency and homelessness as evidenced by a social case study report prepared by the City or Municipal Social Welfare and Development Office concerned, and such other documents as may be required by the court. For the information of the body, the amendment was from our colleague, Senator Erwin Tulfo. I so move for its approval, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, amendments carried.
No other amendments, Mr. President, both committee and individual. I move that we close the period of individual and committee amendments.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, period of amendments hereby closed.
I yield to the majority leader, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
With that, Mr. President, I move that we approve on second reading Senate Bill number 70 and the committee under committee report number 55. So moved.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the aforementioned measure is hereby approved on second reading.
Mr. President, I move that we may ask for minute suspension, Mr. President.
Session suspended.
President, I move that we resume consideration of Senate Bill number 2116 under Committee Report number 60. This is the bill on the revised Philippine Coast Guard law. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, consideration of Senate Bill number 2116 under Committee Report number 60 is in order.
Mr. President, at this juncture, I move that we open the period of interpellations and debate and recognize the distinguished sponsor of the measure, Senator Rafi Tulfo, and to interpolate the distinguished gentleman from Cavite, Senator Panfilo Lacson. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, period of interpellations hereby open. We recognize the gentleman from Cavite, Senator Panfilo Lacson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the gentleman sponsor yield to some very basic and practical questions?
Yes, Senator Lacson, by all means.
Yeah. And as I will fulfill my promise to you last Monday, I will limit my questions to the Philippine Coast Guard Academy.
That is so generous of you, Senator. Thank you.
Okay, Section 25 of the bill provides for the establishment of the PCG Academy within 5 years from the effectivity of the proposed law. No? And my first question is, what is the present strength of the officer corps of the Philippine Coast Guard?
Right now, Mr. President, the force, the total members of the Philippine Coast Guard is around 6,200. Mr. President.
No, just
35,200, Mr. President.
that's the strength of the officer corps.
Oh, just the. No, that includes everything, Mr. President.
That's
Members of rank and file.
officers and non-commissioned officers.
Officers
But
and
what is
non-commissioned.
the present strength of the officer corps? Only the commissioned
The,
officers.
the actual numbers of the officers for the PCG, Mr. President, is 3,299 exactly, Mr. President.
So that's 1:2. One officer for every 2 enlisted personnel.
No, Mr. President, because the total amount
As
is
35,000.
35,226. That's rank and file.
Yeah.
The officers and the non-commissioned officers. And
So-
the officers itself is only 3,299, Mr. President.
So that's around 1:10, no? That's the ratio.
Something like that, around that figure, Mr.
Yeah.
President.
What is the authorized TONE, the Table of Organization and Equipment of the Philippine Coast Guard, if they have any?
The authorized, Mr. President, is 38,000
Thir-
members.
How about broken down into officers and non-commissioned officers? What is the
Okay, the break-
authorized TONE for officers and
Okay, the officers, Mr. President, is 3,299. The PCG non-officers is 31,117, while the probationary ensigns is to 843, and the cadets is around 67, Mr. President.
67?
A total of 35,326.
Yeah, what is the primary source of commission of the officer corps of the PCG? Saan po nanggagaling yung kanilang?
The recruitment is from the civilian population, Mr. President, and then they're going to be trained in Coast Guard, Philippine Coast Guard School, Philippine Coast Guard Training Center, because there is no Philippine Coast Guard Academy as of yet, Mr.
And
President.
that's why you're proposing the establishment of a Philippine Coast Guard Academy.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes, sir.
of course, ang main concern ko lang yung budget, ano. So, may we inquire into the PCG's and vision plans for the proposed academy? Meron na po ba silang identified na location na pagtatayuan ng Philippine Coast Guard Academy?
So right now, wala pa po, Mr. President. That's why it is just a proposal para dun sa mga magbibigay ng donation, they will be accepting donation. Makapag-umpisan silang maghanap ng location, Mr. President.
And if nobody will donate,
5 years
so-
from now. Hopefully, Mr. President, we're looking forward to some
Some Good
people or groups,
Samaritans.
Good Samaritans that would donate, Mr. President.
Okay, assuming that there's a donated lot, ano, to put up or construct the Philippine Coast Guard Academy, ang susunod na tanong is, ano yung funding required for the construction, and sama na natin yung annual operating budget to sustain the operations of the academy.
Sa ngayon, Mr. President, hindi pa covered yan sa bill na final ko, sa susunod na bill that would be incorporated into it, Mr. President.
So hindi pa kasama yung, but within 5 years, upon the effectivity of this measure, kailan may put up na yung Philippine Coast Guard Academy?
Yes, Mr. President. In 5
So
years.
wala sa assumption na may magdo-donate, and wala pa sa assumption yung required funding for the construction plus operating expenses?
Pag wala pong mag-donate, Mr. President, ang grand total na ina-assume na magiging total amount is going to be around 3.04 billion pesos. Mr.
For the
President.
construction?
For the constructions,
And
everything.
what
kasama.
would be the annual projected appropriations to maintain?
It will be approximately 1.2 billion, Mr. President, approximately.
Just for the academy, no?
Just for the
Hindi
academy
ito
itself.
hindi kasama yung budget ng Philippine Coast Guard at present. It's just for the establishment of the
That is
or
correct, Mr.
construction
President,
and-
just for the
Yeah,
academy.
and the maintenance. No. Sa ngayon, there's an existing joint memorandum circular number 1, series of 2025. And it's for 2026 to 2027. superintendent then.
That is correct. From academic year 2026 to 2027. At tama po kayo, meron ng memorandum of agreement between the DND and the Philippine Coast Guard, Mr. President, and the DOTR as well.
So that will be roughly less than 1% of the present strength of the cadet corps of the armed forces of the Philippines. Because right now, I believe there are around 1,200 PMA cadets.
That is correct, Mr. President.
Yeah,
Pero
so kung-
parang lumilitaw na 10% of the PMA class convening in academic year 2029 to 2030.
No, 10% increase, no? 10 cadets
No,
lang.
no, 10 cadets, Mr. President.
So, starting
as of now.
2026, so itong pumasok ngayon, last April, kailan ba yung reception? April 1 pa rin ba? Or naging June na? You start ng academic year or ng cadet year?
April 1, Mr. President.
April 1, still April 1. So, that's our reception day, actually, our very first day in the academy as plebes. So, 2026, they will graduate 728.
2030 ang graduation ng
Ang graduation.
2026 cadets.
So by 2030, meron ng 10 PMA cadets, graduating cadets that will join or will be absorbed by the Philippine Coast Guard.
That is correct, Mr. President.
And starting 2029, magkakaroon ng 10% increase, di ba? So magiging 11,
Correct, Mr. President.
2020, and so forth and so on.
That is correct, Mr. President. Eventually, maximum of 10% of the graduating class, Mr. President.
Yes. So in the meantime, na wala pa rito sa proposed measure yung construction ng, kasi wala pang lupa eh.
Kaya, naghahanap pa lang, Mr. President.
Naghahanap pa lang. So ma-activate lang ito once na may mag-donate ng lupa because wala ba kayong asset?
Yeah,
Wala bang
Mr.
asset ang Coast Guard?
Sa ngayon, Mr. President, wala. Nag-aantay lang donation. And then kung hindi, pwedeng isama to sa GAA, Mr. President.
Yes, yes. The purchase of the lot. Ano?
The purchase of the...
Meron na ba silang iniisip kung saan ilalagay yung academy?
As of now, Mr. President, meron mga possible locations, may mga suggestions, pero yan po ay nasa ongoing plan as to where exactly yung maging location ng academy, Mr. President.
Kasi we cannot justify inserting appropriations for the construction unless meron tayong lote, hindi ba?
That is
Kasi I'm
correct,
sure
Mr.
the
President.
Senate President and the chairman, the new chairman of the Finance Committee will be more than willing to put up something, you know, or in the appropriations. Kasi pwede naman multi-year ito eh.
Tama.
Kasi kung magkano yung 3.8, 3.5 for the construction alone, excluding the lot, ano?
Excluding the lot.
Kaya kung i-multi-year, pwedeng 1 billion a year pang startups.
So infrastructure, Mr. President, it is around 750 million pesos.
Just to start.
To start with, Mr. President.
Yeah, so during our budget deliberation for the fiscal year or calendar year 2027 at merong mag-donate within this year, pwede tayo mag-appropriate
Mas maganda, Mr.
under
President,
the
kung may mag-donate.
2027 GAA.
We can keep the ball rolling
Yeah,
again.
so we can keep the ball rolling. Hindi pa naman kaagad kailangan yung MOE or yung operating expense kasi wala pa yung building.
That is correct, Mr.
Anyway,
President.
I hope ma-realize itong matagal ng pangarap ng Philippine Coast Guard and we will be in full support of this measure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you,
distinguished
thank you,
sponsor.
Mr. President. Thank you very much.
Meron lang ako, Senator Rafi, quick question. Meron bang Coast Guard Academy in other countries, in other jurisdictions? Meron bang mga ganyan na
Yeah,
modelo na we can take a look or we can emulate,
Make it a model.
make a model?
Yes, Mr. President, as far as I know, meron po sa US, yung US Coast Guard Academy. I think it's still in existence for so many years now.
Yung mga Coast Guard kasi multi-role to, not only defending our seas but also yung mga calamities, disaster response,
Rescue, environmental
correct, and
protection.
regulatory functions rin, no? So Marami talaga silang ginagawa. So,
Law enforcement as well, Mr.
law
President.
enforcement. So putting up an academy seems like a very logical step so that we continue to hone their skills and their competencies.
At yung Philippine Coast Guard, Mr. President, sila ang pinaka may maraming responsibilidad kumpara sa other government agencies, Mr. President.
Correct. And being a maritime nation, we need a strong Coast Guard as well as highly competent and modern Coast Guard.
Doon pa sa mga nabanggit natin, Mr. President, kasama rin sa kanilang duties and responsibilities yung mag-inspect po ng mga vessels to make sure na seaworthy po yung mga vessels, and sa law enforcement sila po ay naghuli ng mga smugglers, naghuli sila ng mga poachers, etc. So napakalawak po yung duties and responsibilities given to the Philippine Coast Guard compared to other agencies. Hindi naman sa pagmamaliit yung mga duties and responsibilities ng other agencies. Ang Coast Guard po so far, sila ang may pinakamalaki at pinakamalawak na responsibilities, Mr. President.
Thank you to the good sponsor. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. President, with the permission of our dear colleague, just friendly interpellation para makatulong ng konti, if I may ask just a few questions, Mr. President.
Yeah, we recognize the Majority Leader for
Yes,
his question.
Mr.
Thank
President.
you. Hindi, kasi nakasama natin sa Coast Guard. I know the men and women of the Coast Guard that are there. There was an issue kasi when my time as Senate President, we and you know this, Senator Sherwin knows this because he was the chairman. He was with us when we appropriated the budget for the Coast Guard. Unfortunately, due to the lack of time, 2 years passed before the funds was used. It was reverted to the National Treasury. We allotted 2.4 billion for
2.5.
2.5 billion po for a Coast Guard frigate to be built in Cebu by Australia Austal Company na Filipinos ang nanggagawa. That was part of our SRDP, yung Self-Reliance Defense Posture Act, to help the industries in the Philippines. Meron ba tayong provision sa batas na to, Your Honor, na mailagay na para ma-streamline yung proseso na yan para hindi muli maudyok yung mga budget na maibibigay ng Kongreso, Senado sa Coast Guard para hindi naman masayang yung pera, Mr. President? Kasama ba modernization dito, Mr. President? Is this part or is the bill only about organizational, or is it also about modernizing the Coast Guard?
Yung modernization, Mr. President, sa susunod na bill ko yan, for now,
okay.
sa organization na lamang ito
Okay.
nakafocus, Mr.
So it's
President.
only for organization. At least I'm aware of that.
And by the way, Mr. President, hero ka natin mga taga-Philippine Coast Guard nung ikaw ay nagpunta sa 2.5, kaya lang unfortunately na-revert yun
Yes.
because of some technicalities.
Actually, I wanted to meet, maybe we can call them for a meeting, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, Chairman of our Public Services. Kasi gusto ko lang malaman kung ano talaga nangyari. Dahil it's quite frustrating for Congress and the Senate to allot a budget and hindi naman na-implement. Para hindi naman masayang yung budget. Kasi yung 2.5 billion, we could have built how many classrooms? Senator Joel, alam niya kasi education yan. We could have built, oh my God, maybe 1,000 classrooms utilizing that fund. But and of course, our priority then was our sovereignty, our security, our support to the Coast Guard. So sana hindi na po mangyari yun. Maybe we can just find out. Kasi kung ang problema, DBM ba ang problema? Was it another agency stopping the sale? Was it DOTR itself? Para maayos po natin yung sistema, para yung mga institutional amendments na ating mga colleagues dito hindi masayang.
Mr. President, due to its confidential nature, the leadership of the Philippine Coast Guard will be more than happy and willing to sit down with you and come to your office to explain, Mr. President.
Very good, Mr. President. Thank you very much, Mr. President. No further question. Mine was just to support the Coast Guard. Wala po tayong gusto kundi tulungan ang Coast Guard. Ito po yung mga bayani po natin, nakipagsuntukan, karate, arnis. Ang gusto ko nga, Mr. President, bilang chairman ng President of the NSA for Arnis, National Sports Association, bibigyan po namin sila ng libreng trainer para magpaluan sila ng Chinese. Kung gamitan kayo ng wushu, gamitin natin ang Arnis.
That will be most welcome, Mr. President.
Mr. Coast Guard. Thank you, Mr. President. I believe there's no other member who wishes to interpolate the measure, Mr. President. I move to close the period of
yes.
amendment.
Is there any objection?
Interpellation.
Hearing none, the period of interpellation is hereby closed.
Mr. President, I move that we open the period of amendment and recognize once again the sponsor. I believe he has a few amendments.
Yes. Is there any objection? Hearing none, period of amendments hereby open. We recognize the sponsor, Senator Raffy Tulfo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, before I introduce the individual amendments, I would like to acknowledge all the members of the Senate for their valuable inputs and insights to enhance this proposed legislation. The following are the individual amendments. Mr. President, on page 8, before Article 3, insert a new Section 8 to read as follows and renumber succeeding sections accordingly. Section 8, subpoena powers. The PCG Commandant and the Investigation and Detection Management Service, or IDMS, Commander shall have the power to administer oath and issue subpoena ad testificandum and subpoena ducis tecum in relation to its investigation, provided that such powers shall be exercised solely by the aforementioned officials and may not be further delegated to any other persons or office. The subpoena shall state the nature and purpose of investigation, shall be directed to the person whose attendance is required, and in the case of a subpoena ducis tecum, it shall also contain a reasonable description of the books, documents, or things demanded which must be relevant to the investigation. Failure to comply with subpoena ad testificandum and subpoena ducis tecum shall authorize the filing of a case for indirect contempt under the rules of court with the regional trial court. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection to the amendments? Hearing, Senator Lacson is recognized for his intervention.
Just to emphasize my unqualified support to the measure, not only to the measure but to the Philippine Coast Guard. May I be made co-author of the measure, Mr. President?
Yes, we
Thank you, Mr.
we insert into the records Senator Lacson, Senator Amy Marcos, Senator Migzubi as one of the co-authors of the bill.
Mr. President, with the permission of the body, I see everyone here raising their hand. Maybe we can make all members present now as co-author and co-sponsor.
We will make all members of the Senate as co-authors of
Thank
the
you so
measure.
very much, Mr. President.
So going back to the amendments, any objection? Hearing none, amendments is carried.
On page 21, line 2, after the word one, delete the word grade and replace it with the word rank. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, amendments carried.
Thank you, Mr. President. Still on page 21, line 3, delete the phrase permanent salary grade and replace it with the word rank. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, amendments carried.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. That's all.
Is that it? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Senate, to the good sponsor, Senator Raffy Tulfo.
Thank you, Mr. President. We also got coordination with the minority leader. I will also no longer propound any questions. With that, Mr. President, I move to close the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, period of amendments is hereby closed.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Second.
Mr. President, I move that we approve on second reading Senate Bill number 2116 under Committee Report number 60. I so move.
2211. Under committee report.
Number 60.
60. Is there any objection? Hearing none, Senate Bill number 2116 under committee report 60 is hereby approved on second reading. Congratulations,
Congratulations.
to the
Maraming
PCG.
salamat po, Mr. President. I just realized, Mr. President, I was given a note by my staff. I'm the principal author of the measure. I authored, the first author. So congratulations to our brothers and sisters of Philippine Coast Guard. So thank you very much,
So
Mr. President.
congratulations to the Philippine Coast Guard, and now that we have a new finance chairman who's also very supportive of the Coast Guard, so we'll see to it that
Finance.
we'll allocate the necessary budget for the modernization of the Coast Guard.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, with that, to prepare for third reading on Monday next week, I move that we suspend consideration of the
Is there
measure.
any objection? Hearing none, consideration of the measure is hereby suspended.
May I ask for a minute suspension, Mr. President?
1 minute, session suspended. 1 minute.
Party list na. Si Senping na naka... You want Senping or ikaw na? Buo, ikaw na lang, boss. Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session resumed.
Mr. President, I move that we resume consideration of Senate Bill number 2090 under Committee Report number 57.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, consideration of Senate Bill number 2090 under Committee Report 50 is now under consideration.
This is the act ensuring the proportional representation of the House of Representatives to a strengthened party list system, repealing Republic Act 7941 or the Party List System Act. Mr. President, to sponsor, may we recognize Senator Risa Ontiveros, and to interpolate our distinguished former Senate President, our Senate President pro tempore, Senator Vicente Soto III.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the period of interpolations hereby open. We recognize the sponsor, Senator Risa Ontiveros, and to interpolate our former Senate President, Senator Tito Soto.
Salamat, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Will the distinguished lady entertain some interpolations from this representation?
Very gladly, Mr. President, also from one of the co-authors of this bill.
Thank you, thank you. Well, now that you mention it, in 1995, when we passed the original party list law, Senator Raul Roco was the chairman of the Committee on Electoral Reforms, and I was his vice chairman. So when we sponsored the measure, I was his co-sponsor. And it has gone through many years of changes and interpretation, and I'm glad that the distinguished lady has taken this up now and is ready to listen to some of the points that we would like to be clarified on. Because, as I mentioned, from the time that he passed it in 1995 of the president, there were misinterpretations, there were opinions that were, as a matter of fact, not in conformity with the original intention that we wanted, as the Constitution then mandated that we enact a law to come up with a party list system. Nevertheless, let me start. Your Honor, this distinguished lady from ano to? Yung Panay.
Yes,
Distinguished
Mr.
lady
President.
from Panay. Given that Article 6, Section 5 and 2 of the Constitution explicitly limited the one-half sectoral representation or sectoral reservation only to the first 3 consecutive terms following ratification. And more importantly, thereafter, panahon nga nila na Justice Tony Carpio, if I recall it right, the Supreme Court in the Atong Paglaom case already affirmed that this sectoral reservation was never meant to be permanent. Now, may I know from the sponsor of this measure now that we are tackling, if this 50-50 split being proposed under Section 11 of your bill, of this bill, may be constitutionally infirmed. You see, by reserving 50% of available seats for national and regional parties, which I believe are not inherently marginalized, does this provision not dilute the original intention of the framers of the Constitution marginalized sector talaga ang gusto nilang bigyan ng representation sa party list?
Mr. President, with all due respect, I would say that this provision does not dilute the intention of the framers. For the record muna po, Article 6, Section 5(2) of the 1987 Constitution states, "The party list representatives shall constitute 20% of the total number of representatives, including those under the party list." For 3 consecutive terms after the ratification of this Constitution, 1/2 of the seats allocated to party list representatives shall be filled as provided by law by selection or election from the labor, peasant, urban poor, indigenous cultural communities, women, youth, and such other sectors as may be provided by law, except the religious sector. So, Mr. President, totoo pong minamandato ng 1987 Constitution yung reservation ng 50% ng party list seats para sa sectoral groups para sa 3 consecutive terms. Pero, hindi po sinasabi ng konstitusyon natin na yung reservation na ito ay para lamang sa period na ito. In fact po, Mr. President, wala pong prohibitive wording na nahahanap sa provision na ito. Kaya sinasabi ko po na ang Kongreso ay malayang maghubog po ng isang party list reform law tulad ng ginagawa natin ngayon, Mr. President.
Yes. In fact, sabi niyo nga, malaya ang Kongreso na gawin ang sa tingin nila ay naaayon, ano. Ngayon, sabi nga, meron kasabihan tayo sa Pilipino yung nagsasabi ng tapat ay nagsasama ng maluwat. I definitely am not comfortable with letter A of your section 11. Let me be frank about it. Sabi dito, by the way, the bill that I proposed does not contain this, but this is contained in your proposal. 50% of the available seats under the party list system shall be reserved for national and regional political party organizations. Pagka ganito, Mr. President, and again, I have serious reservations, ubos yung labor, ubos ang peasants, ubos ang fisher folk, ubos ang urban poor. Kailan naman naging marginalized ang mga regional political party organizations? Paano naging, di ba, kaya nga nagkakaroon tayo na may mga nagre-reklamo, yun daw bang, ano ba ito? Ako Bicol, yun daw ba marginalized? 14 yata ang congressman sa Bicol Paano naging marginalized yun? Yung One Cebu, although I'm from there, pero marginalized ba yun? Ang daming congressmen nung area na yun, nung region na yun, di ba? Hindi lang Region 7, di Cebu itself. So, pag ito, nilagay natin to, 50% of the available seats, national and regional political party organizations. Patay tayo dito, boss. Ubos. Ang daing pera nito mga to At sila na naman ang uupo Diba? Paano naman yung, kasi kung 20% mang ililimitahan natin sa 20%, kasulad ng sinasabi ng konstitusyon, baka maraming mailagay ito mga ito. Baka sa isang organization, pag binilang natin, baka 10 seats. Ang isang political party, 10 seats. Mga gano'n. Isang regional party, 10 seats. Sana, paano mapupunta ngayon yung letter B ninyo? Na ang tingin ko, ito lang dapat talaga ang laman. Letter B, 50% shall be reserved for sectoral party list organization. Ito, tama. Labor, peasants and farmers, fisher folk, urban poor, indigenous cultural communities, elderly, persons with disabilities, women, youth, veterans. Medyo yung last two, hindi ko sinama ito sa bill ko so pwede natin pag-usapan later, perhaps. Pero yung 10 binanggit ko, Yun tama. Tama po ito. Ito yung dapat laman itong bill natin kung gusto nating ayusin sapagkat napakarami ng reklamo tayong narinig sa party list systems. Itong mga nakaraang taon, itong mga nakaraang eleksyon. At ang nangyayari nga, parang, well, forgive me for saying so, pero mga 70% daw ng mga nanalo sa party list, mga contractors Di ba? Yun ang laman ngayon ng Kongreso. Baka wala rin mangyari dito sa gusto natin gawin. Baka sila-sila din yung mga pakakaupo dyan. Pag hindi natin talagang ilimit lang natin doon sa talagang ang tingin natin marginalized. Silang mga walang kakayahan, walang enough funding na makaupo at marinig ang boses nila sa Kongreso. Baka pwede pong ganun. Yun ang naiisip ko. So, may I know the rationale for why 50% for regional political party list organizations? Please try to convince me, Your Honor.
I will do my level best, Mr. President. Bago ko po sagutin yung bakit 50% ay nais i-reserve sa mga national and regional political parties at bakit 50% naman ay reserved sa mga sectoral parties, gusto ko lang i-reassure yung ating good former Senate President, ating Senate President pro tempore, na meron din pong probisyon itong ating panukala na pag-disqualify sa mga contractors, gayon din sa mga political dynasties na magbuo ng mga di umanong partido para mag-participate dito sa party list system. Ngayon po, bakit proposal ay 50%, tig 50% sa mga sectoral parties at sa mga political parties? Dahil po, base po sa committee hearings natin, kung saan nag-participate ang ilang constitutional framers at legal luminaries, actually po hindi lang sectoral representation ang intensyon at polisiya sa likod ng party list system. Doon po sa pagbuo ng ating konstitusyon. Interes din po nito na bigyan ng espaso ang mga may iba't ibang political ideology na maging parte ng gobyerno. Kaya ang dalawang interes po na ito, yung sectoral at yung political, yan po ay parehong parte ng intent ng framers. Sa isang banda po, Mr. President, gusto po nating hikayatin ang pag-oorganisa ng political groups na may klarong ideolohiya sa kung paano dapat patakbuhin ang gobyerno. At sa kabilang banda, pantay ang pagbibigay halaga. Gusto rin po nating bigyan ng boses ang mga sektor sa Kongreso. So this bill, Mr. President, actually ay isang pagsusumikap natin na balansehin itong dalawang interes, sektoral at politikal.
Nahihirapan po akong tanggapin yung political sapagkat yung 250 congressmen from the 250 plus districts ay puro politiko na yun And most of them represent political parties. Most of them, if not all. Kaya bakit pa natin bibigyan ng iba pa? Idadagdagan pa natin namang politiko yung Congress, imbis na mga marginalized na tao ang ilagay natin. So as I said, I am not comfortable with that. And then siguro, well, I'm sure you understand my point, and I do understand your point also, but it's a matter of opinion, and my opinion is that we do not need to enhance the politicians in Congress. Hindi na natin kailangan dagdagan pa sila. At dapat nga limitahan sila. Yun ang naiisip ko. At magalit na sila sa akin kung magagalit, pero yung pong pananaw ko Ngayon, nabanggit ko po yung sa inyong section 11 nga, yung 1 to 10, sabi ko, ito yung mga tama Ito yung nararapat na nandiyan sa party list system sa Kongreso. Yung number 13, 10, 11 and 12 medyo pag-usapan natin later on perhaps or on another time. But overseas workers at saka yung sexual and gender minorities. And then 13, workers in the informal economy. Medyo kailangan nating i-define mabuti ito. Sino ito Ngayon, Yung number 14, okay? Let me move on to number 14 sa sinasabi mo. Any other group of citizens who share similar physical attributes or characteristics, employment, interests, or concerns, which the COMELEC may recognize upon clear and convincing evidence, are economically, politically, or socially marginalized and underrepresented. Now, aren't we giving discretionary power to COMELEC? Parang, bakit natin, tayo gumagawa ng batas, ilagay na natin kung ano gusto natin, huwag nating iasa sa COMELEC. Because this is precisely what happened. Remember, what we passed in 1995. Ilan lang yung, 8 lang yung party list na marginalized sa amin Nung pinasa namin yun I distinctly recall yun ang ini-sponsor namin ni Senator Rocco. And then, ininterpret ng iba ito na kapartido ko pa nga ibang nag-file nung araw, LDP, yung mga party list, nagsali. Tapos sinabi ng COMELEC, hindi pwede. May nag-petition ngayon. Later on, ang COMELEC decided na binuksan, pinayagan. After the next elections, mayroon namang nagreklamo at nag-petition, nakarating sa Supreme Court. Pagdating sa Supreme Court, lalong bumukas na kahit hindi farmer, pwedeng represent ang farmer. Kahit hindi security guard, pwedeng represent ang security guard. Ganun na nangyari. So, itong nakakatakot dito. Pag nagbigay na naman tayo ng power sa iba, imbis na tayo na sa Kongreso, sa batas natin, ibibigay natin to like, COMELEC may recognize upon clear and convincing evidence. Who says? Who will say it's a clear and convincing evidence? De sila lang. Di ba? Or economically, politically, socially marginalized. I don't think we should do this, Your Honor, Mr. President. I think we must legislate a statute that is clear, plain, free from ambiguity, and will be applied without interpretation. Kailangan maliwanag na kagad dito pa lang sapagkat madala na tayo sa ginawa namin noong 1995 na hindi nalinawan lahat ito. Ito yung iniisip ko na dapat what we did exactly in 1995 Republic Act 7941. We wanted to, well, now I think we should prevent people assembling themselves into a party list just to have a seat in the House. Hindi ganun Hindi naman sila marginalized Ganun po yung sinasabi ko. So anyway, may I have your comment on this?
Yes,
On number
Mr.
14 of your proposed bill.
Opo, number 14 dito sa bill, Mr. President. Una, sinishare ko po yung concern ng good Senate President pro tempore na precisely kaya meron tayong ganitong panukala para learning from the lessons ng mga sinight din ni Honorable Soto na mga masasakit na karanasan in terms of certain jurisprudence, with all due respect sa Supreme Court, or certain paraan ng pag-implementa ng COMELEC ng batas na ito. Gusto nating bumalik in some way sa original na intent ng konstitusyon. At the same time, mabigyan ng espasyo yung mga grupo who over the years ay dinedefine ang sarili nila in terms of sector or in terms of political ideology. So totoo po, binibigyan natin sa provision na ito ng discretion ang COMELEC, pero I would say, Mr. President, strictly circumscribed pa rin. Under this provision, Section 11B14, may requirement na ang grupo ay economically, politically, or socially marginalized and underrepresented. But having said that, Mr. President, I do understand the point of the good Senate President pro tempore at bukas po ako sa refinement sa section na ito.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that because, as I said, I have serious reservations on number 11, 12, 13, and 14. As a matter of fact, if I go back to 13, workers in the informal economy. Ano ba yun? Sino ba yung mga informal economy? Mga sari-sari store?
Kasama na po sila, Mr. President, pero particular din yung mga pong nagtatrabaho, not necessarily bilang empleyado, bilang mga manggagawa at mga entrepreneurs, lalo na nung panahon po ng pandemya, kung kailan po umusbong yung digital economy na tinatawag, mga self-employed, mga hindi nag-e-enjoy ng employer-employee relationship tulad ng mga nasa formal economy. So, sa ilalim po ng batas, wala po silang karapatan o benepisyo, kasama na po yung pagiging miyembro ng SSS o GSIS for that matter, Pag-ibig, PhilHealth. Wala po silang pagkakataon o karapatan na magbuo ng union at makipagtawaran sa kanilang management. So ilan po ito sa mga subsectors na umusbong sa loob ng kinikilalang informal economy, Mr. President.
Well, again, I hope we get the chance during the period of amendment. Let's define it. If this is
Yes, Mr.
necessary,
President.
workers in the informal economy, we have to define it more. But just not but just saying informal economy.
Agree po, Mr. President.
Moving on, if a political party list can win up to 10 seats, because that is how this bill is framed, no? While a sectoral organization is capped at 3, does this not create a structural imbalance that will favor the political parties over the sectoral ones? Parang lumala pa ito kaysa ro sa mga kinakatakutan kong dating problema sa party list.
Actually, Mr. President, sinusubukan na nating i-address yun at the outset. Dahil yung 20% ng House of Representatives na reserved para sa party list system ay subsequently hahatiin pa in equal halves, na kalahati po nun reserved dun sa sectoral party lists. So sabihin natin kung 30 po yan, kasi kung 60 plus ngayon ang magiging 20% of the House, kung 60 plus ay reserved para sa party list system, 30 plus nun naka-reserve po para sa political parties, 30 plus po nun naka-reserve para sa sectoral parties. At kung may butal po sa paghahati sa tig 50%, yung butal na isang seat ay marireserve dun sa sectoral parties. So, posibleng 31 seats reserved sa political parties, 32 seats para sa sectoral parties. Kaya po pinapanukala na ang bawat political party na magka-qualify for seats sa party list system ay may cap ng 10 ay dahil gusto nating i-encourage talaga yung paglakas ng mga tunay na political parties na meron talagang mga natatanging vision of society at platform of governance. Kaya naman po pinapanukala dito na yung mga sectoral parties, dahil malamang mas marami sila ay nakakap sa 3, ay dahil gusto naman nating i-encourage yung mas maraming mga sektor na makapagbuo ng mga partido nila at mag-qualify na umupo sa party list system ng House of Representatives, Mr. President.
What percentage of the votes are we envisioning here?
Dito po,
Kasi
Yes,
yung
Mr.
dati, no?
President.
Yung dati, ang nakalagay doon 2%
Opo.
of the votes cast of the electorate, ano?
Opo.
Ngayon, ito yung nagkaroon ng puwersa ang COMELEC na eh. Talagang ginalulungkot kong sabihin, pero totoo ito. The facts will bear me out. In 2025, 63 ang umupo na party list representatives, ano? The percentage of the votes that they got is not merong 1%, merong pang less eh. Originally, sabi natin 2% of votes cast. Alam niyo po ba how many got 2% of the votes cast in the last elections?
Napakakonti lang, Mr. President.
6. 6 lang dapat ang party list na pumasok sa Congress. But then again, binuksan nga eh. Binuksan ng COMELEC, binuksan ng Supreme Court. So nagdagdag para mapuno. Kahit 1% lang, kahit less than 1%. Meron kung ilang 100,000 votes yata yun or something. Nakaupo eh. 63 sila ngayon. And 70% contractors. Hindi ba malungkot? Pagkatapos bubuksan natin tong party list organizations, mga political parties na naman. Really, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor, I'm really seriously concerned about this 50% for political party organization. Palagi ko, we must go back to the drawing board and find a better position or better number as far as this section 11 is concerned. And then also, if I recall it right, during the committee hearings, majority of your resource speakers manifested that there should be no reserved seats, but a first past the post system in the voting for party list representatives in this bill. In this bill, it reverted to proportional voting. Yun ang sinasabi nila. So, kung ganito po yung karamihan na sinasabi ng resource speakers, ano po ang wisdom behind our version now, the proposed version natin ngayon?
Gusto po natin, Mr. President, in fact, bawiin sa kamay ng COMELEC yung any discretion in terms of paano i-apply o paano magbuo at mag-apply ng formula. Gusto po nating i-provide yon, isang bagong formula based on the experiences of the last 30 years, provide for it by law. Nung simula po kasi ng implementation nitong party list system, Mr. President, mas simple po talaga yung matematika noon. Nung panahong iyon, there were about 50 seats na reserved. 50 seats constituted 20% of the House. Kaya simple pong na-apply noon na mayroong threshold of 2% of the votes cast for the party list ay kailangang makuha ng bawat party list group para magkaroon ng tig-isang seat. But over the years po, lumalaki po yung House, nadadagdagan po ng mga distrito, kaya umuurong din po yung bilang which constitutes 20% of the House. And ngayon, sa current strength po ng House, nakita po natin na may mga 63 seats ang dapat i-reserve ayon sa konstitusyon para sa party list. Ang panukala po dito sa ating bill ay isang mathematical formula na ang bawat political party o sectoral party na uupo, each with their own 50% of the party list na naka-reserve sa kanila, ay bawat isa kailangan maging winning minimum percenter. Kakailanganin ko yung tulong ng legis ko pag matematika ang pinapan. Pero basically, kung ano yung, if I may, Mr. President,
Yes,
just a 1-minute
Yeah, sure.
suspension just to
You
get
will.
the mathematical formula here with me. Kasi po, as I will say when we come back, may formula po kaming pinopropose dito sa panukalang batas na based on the seats reserved for each half of the party list system, merong pong mathematical formula na iperperform para masabi kung tig-ilang seats po meron sila. At kung may butal pa doon, sakalang ibibigay sa hindi umabot sa minimum threshold or hindi sila minimum percenters. If I may, good SP Pro Tempore, Mr. President, just a 1-minute suspension.
Session suspended.
Yes. Oo.
Thank you. Nandito na yung step by step, di ba? Yes. Alright. Ito.
So, tapos, yung only other apart from this naman
Yeah.
is yung definition of the winning minimum percentage, which I already.
Sige, so i-enter into the...
One half the seats allocated to party list representatives shall be filled as provided by selection or election from the labor to 50% and the other 50% silent.
Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session resumed.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to the good SP Pro Tempore for his patience. So, Mr. President, una po, dun sa definition of terms, the winning minimum percentage threshold for sectoral party list organizations refers to the percentage value of 1 divided by the number of available seats for sectoral party list organizations multiplied by 100%. Yun po yung basic formula. And exactly the same yung formula for political party list organizations. The winning minimum percentage threshold for political party list organizations refers to the percentage value of 1 divided by the number of available seats for political party list organizations multiplied by 100%. So yun po yung basic formula. Yung detalye ng formula at paano siya step by step i-apply ay andito po sa, proposed po sa Section 12 entitled Procedure in Allocating Seats for Party List Representatives. At ito po ay in 6 steps na pwede ko ling i-put on record if the good SP Pro Tempore desires. Basically po, ang gusto pong ma-achieve sa 6-step na formula na ito ay to approach that ideal of proportional representation, Mr. President.
Proportional representation pa rin doon sa kinakabahan ako. Political organizations against marginalized sectors. So again, bagsak pa rin ako doon sa, bakit hindi kaya yung dati na lang, 2%? Baka 2% ka at itong listahan ng mga marginalized sectors na ito lamang ang dapat. Pag hindi ka naka 63 o hindi naman, so what? Kung 10 lang ang nakakapasok, 10 lang. Hindi po ba mas maganda yun? Nakakatipid pa nga ang gobyerno eh. Kesa naman sa tatambakan tayo ng 70% na kontraktor, ang congressman. At napabayaan yung mga magsasaka, yung mga mangingisda, yung mga nangangailangan talaga ng representasyon, eh hindi nakakapasok eh. So, baka sakali, pagka ganun, eh matulungan natin sila. So, perhaps, baka we can come up with a middle ground. But then again, I think I would suggest that our colleagues be also asked of their opinion on the issue of whether there should be a party list, political party list organizations, national or regional. Nabibigyan pa natin sila ngayon. Imbes na ibalik natin sa original na intention ng mga framers, original intention ng 1995 na bill, na sectoral, yung marginalized ang pagbigyan, bibigyan pa natin yung mga political parties, regional, national, ng silya, na kalahati, noong maaaring maupo. I think we should ask our colleagues so that we can come up with suggestions from them also. At kung baka naman ako lang ang nakakaisip ng ganito, pero so be it, di ba? Majority rules, ika nga. Pero that is my opinion. And I hope we can come up with a middle ground to that effect. No?
I'm prepared, Mr. President, to do very hard, good work with the SP pro tempore, even until the period of amendments, lalo na dahil isa sila sa mga original na nagsulong noong unang party list law. And as I mentioned at the start of this interpellation, is one of the authors of this bill. And just to reiterate na lumabas din po sa ating hearings at consultations na parehong intensyon ng ating framers na definitely bigyan ng espasyo, in fact mag-reserve ng espasyo para sa ating basic sectors sa party list system at kasabay o kasing timbang i-encourage yung partisipasyon ng iba't ibang grupong may iba't ibang mga ideolohiya na lumahok sa paggogobyerno. Also, Mr. President, to address on the record the very important concern of the good SP pro tempore about contractors, no? Andito po sa proposed section 9, disqualification on contractors. Nakasaad po dito, all nominees, including those of the youth sector, shall not be qualified to become a party list nominee if the person A is related by affinity or consanguinity to the second degree to any incumbent elected local and national official, including a party list representative. So ito po, kadiwa po nung isinusulong din nating political dynasty bill. And B, has or has had a beneficial interest in or holds or has held contracts or subcontracts, whether as individual or as an incorporator, director, or officer, to supply the government or any of its divisions, subdivisions, or instrumentalities with goods or services, or to perform construction or other works in the last 10 years preceding the subject election. So yung mga contractor po na nagsisneak in sa party list system lamang at nagkukunwaring party list group ay talagang idinidisqualify natin from the get-go, Mr. President.
Again, we should be very careful with some of the one or two points that you raised because we might be charged with gerrymandering because mayroon tayong component ng anti-political dynasty rito. You know, I don't think we should be able to. Baka we might be, this might be shut down by the Supreme Court. Pagka ganun eh. Concentrate na lang natin doon sa party list. Huwag natin lagyan ng anti-political dynasty provision. There should be a different law for that. But nevertheless, again, perhaps during the period of amendment, we can discuss that. Isa na lang. Please enlighten me. These sectors listed in the Constitution are defined largely by economic and social deprivation. Now, will you please enlighten me on your basis for including the, quote, sexual and gender minorities as underrepresented sector? Hindi po ba nandun din sila sa, meron din sila dun eh, sa labor, sa peasants, fisherfolk, overseas workers, veterans, andyan naman lahat eh. Ba't kailangan meron pang separate na para doon na baka ma-misinterpret na naman, Mr. President? Will you please enlighten us on this matter?
Gladly, Mr. President. Una, salamat po sa good SP pro tempore for recognizing that members of sexual and gender minorities are also citizens within different sectors. However, kaya po pinapanukala na isa po sila sa 14 na sektor na posibleng magbuo ng party list organizations ay dahil pati po hanggang sa pinaka-basic unit of government natin, barangay hanggang pataas sa national, they are also citizens and they actually have, even in the past years, they already have organized themselves as sectoral party list organizations. And then I'm willing to pursue this if the good SP pro tempore wishes, but also para i-address din yung concern na kababanggit nila, totoo po na meron pong kasabay na isinusulong tayong panukalang batas tungkol sa anti-political dynasty law, and there's no attempt po na magkaroon ng any gerrymandering effect or such. Baka nga mabuting kapalaran na sabay na dinidinig natin itong dalawang panukalang batas in plenary so that they can inform each other. And baka maalala din ng good SP pro tempore na in fact, dun po sa ating sinusulong na anti-political dynasty bill, meron ding talagang provision na na hindi na po pwedeng tumakbo sa party list system kung ang isang angkan ay mayroon ng isang miyembro either sa national position or sa local position. So in a way, yung dynasty provision or prohibition dito sa party list bill ay pagsasalamin lamang nun. And dahil sabay natin isinusulong, then we can be guided accordingly in reflecting these two bills against or beside each other, Mr.
Yes,
President.
beside each other would be fine.
Opo.
But within each other, I think it's very dangerous. Definitely, we cannot have two topics in one bill, no. But nevertheless, I thank the distinguished lady for answering our questions and giving us explanations on some of the points here. But perhaps you will allow me to get back to my own drawing board and hope that you do so also as far as some of the points that I have raised. And then I will await the period of amendments and propose my amendments so that we can perhaps come up with a better bill than what we passed in 1995. And just as a word of caution, in 1995, 8 lang yung marginalized sectors na gusto namin eh. Nagulo pa eh. Ito, 14. Ubus tayo, Mr. President. I guarantee you, mahihilo tayo dito sa mangyayari sa party list system. Baka lumala kaysa sa kasalukuyang meron tayo ngayon. So I think we should really study this very well. And perhaps in the period of amendments, we can propose to the distinguished lady some amendments that she will be able to accept. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Maraming salamat po, SP Pro Tempore. As I said, very happy to work with the good SP Pro Tempore on amendments that we could agree on to improve the bill. Salamat po, Mr.
Maraming
President.
salamat to our former Senate President, Tito Soto, and also to the good sponsor, Senator Rizon Tiveros. It's about time to come up with this bill and really need to give the voiceless a voice in Congress and in legislation. And marami hong dapat ho talaga tayong ireforma pagdating sa party list sector natin. So we'll continue the interpellation later on with, I think, a few more of our colleagues would want to propound some questions.
Yes, Mr.
So
President.
with that, we will
Move to
suspend. Yeah.
Consideration of the measure.
So any objection? Hearing none, the measure is hereby suspended.
Mr. President, thank you. Mr. President, we just have a few housekeeping, then we'll proceed with the reference of business. Mr. President, pursuant to Rule 10, Section 13, the rules of the Senate, I move the following senators be elected as members of the following committees on the part of the majority. Mr. President, on the Committee on Cooperatives, I move that we elect Senator Hontiveros, Senator Pangilinan, Senator Lapid, and Senator Aquino. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the aforementioned senators are hereby elected.
Mr. President, on the Committee on Cultural Communities and Muslim Affairs, I move that we, on the part of the majority, move to elect Senators Ontiveros, Lapid, and Tulfo. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the aforementioned senators are hereby elected.
On the part of the Committee on Culture and Arts, we move to elect Senators Lapid, Escudero, and Aquino.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the aforementioned senators are hereby elected.
Committee on Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, and Future Thinking, we move to elect Senator Lapid, Senator Aquino, and Senator Erwin Tulfo.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, aforementioned senators are hereby elected.
Mr. President, on the Committee on Tourism, we move to elect Senator Pangilinan, Senator Tulfo, Erwin, Senator Rafi Tulfo, Senator Lito Lapid, Senator Escudero, and Senator Bam Aquino.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the aforementioned senators are hereby elected.
And also, as chairperson of the Committee on Foreign Relations, I move to designate Senator Erwin Tulfo and Senator Lauren Legarda as vice chairpersons of the committee. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the aforementioned senators are elected as vice chairpersons.
Mr. President, also upon the instruction of the chairperson, I manifest to designate Senator Joel Villanueva as vice chairperson of the Committee on Banks, Financial Institutions, and Currencies. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the aforementioned senators hereby elected as vice chairperson.
And also for the record, Mr. President, Senators Robin Hood Padilla and Senator Bongo would also like to insert their co-sponsorship speech for Senate Bill number 1992. 1912.
So inserted.
Thank you. I mentioned earlier about Senator Legarda, on the party list. Did I read that, Mr. President? Oh, well, anyway, once again, just for the record, Senator Legarda would like to be made co-sponsor of Senate Bill number 2090, or the party list reform bill, and that her co-sponsorship speech be inserted for the record.
So recorded.
Thank you, Mr. President. With that, I move for the reference of business.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is carried. The secretary is directed to read the reference of business.
Bills on first reading, Senate number 2211, an act providing for incentives and benefits for health workers in the private sector, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes. Senator Ejercito.
Saan na yun? Saan na yun? Ito? Referred to the Committees of Health and Demography and Finance.
2212, creating the Philippine Transportation Security Authority, defining its powers and functions, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Ejercito.
Referred to the Committees on Public Services, Civil Service, Government Reorganization, and Professional Regulation and Finance.
2213, establishing and institutionalizing a performance measurement system to promote a culture of meritocracy in government, amending RA 11292, the Seal of Good Local Governance Act of 2019. Senator Ejercito.
Referred to the Committees on Local Government, Economic Affairs, and Finance.
2214, strengthening public health emergency preparedness in the Philippines, providing for a national public health emergency response plan, and mandating relief and recovery measures, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Ejercito.
Referred to the Committees on Health and Demography and Finance.
2215, institutionalizing an emergency medical services system, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes. Senator Ejercito.
Referred to the Committees on Health and Demography, Local Government, and Finance.
2216, promoting workers' health and wellness, providing incentives to employers for the implementation of workforce wellness and workplace improvement programs, and appropriating funds therefore. Senator Ejercito.
Referred to the Committees on Health and Demography, Labor, Employment, and Human Resources Development, Ways and Means, and Finance.
2217, providing for the development of sustainable cities and communities in the country. Senator Ejercito.
Referred to the Committees on Urban Planning, Housing and Resettlement, and Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, and Future Thinking.
2218, amending RA 10586, the Anti-Drunk and Driving Act of 2013. Senator Ejercito.
Referred to the Committees on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs and Public Services.
2219, providing an option for qualified members in the non-career service to pay voluntary contribution to the GSIS, amending RA 8291, the Government Service Insurance System Act of 1997. Senator Ejercito.
Referred to the Committees on Civil Service, Government Reorganization and Professional Regulation, and Government Corporations and Public Enterprises.
2220, establishing a multi-species freshwater hatchery in Tayug, Pangasinan, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
Referred to the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform, and Finance.
2221, establishing multi-species freshwater hatchery in Umingan, Pangasinan, appropriating funds therefore.
Referred to the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform and Finance.
2222, multi-species freshwater hatchery in Santa Maria, Pangasinan, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
Referred to the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform and Finance.
2223, multi-species freshwater hatchery, Marabut, Samar, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
Referred to the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform and Finance.
2224, multi-species freshwater hatchery in Libagon, Southern Leyte, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
Referred to the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform and Finance.
2225, establishing a multi-species freshwater hatchery in San Quintin, Pangasinan, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
Referred to the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform and Finance.
2226, multi-species freshwater hatchery, San Nicolas, Pangasinan, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
Referred to the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform and Finance.
2227, establishing a multi-species freshwater hatchery in San Manuel, Pangasinan, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
Referred to the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform and Finance.
2228, multi-species freshwater hatchery, San Fernando, Camarines Sur, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
Referred to the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform and Finance.
2229, multi-species freshwater hatchery, Rosales, Pangasinan, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
Referred to the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform and Finance.
2230, multi-species freshwater hatchery, Pasacao, Camarines Sur, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
Referred to the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform and Finance.
2231, multi-species freshwater hatchery, Daram, Samar, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
Referred to the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform and Finance.
2232, multi-species freshwater hatchery, Balunga, Pangasinan, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
Referred to the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform and Finance.
2233, institutionalizing the Philippine Fiber Industry Development Program, creating the Philippine Fiber Development Council, defining its powers and functions, and providing funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
Referred to the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform, Science and Technology and Finance.
Resolution 425, directing the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry into the alarming frequency of red and yellow alerts issued by the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines that have resulted in power interruptions in Visayas and Luzon, with the end view of ensuring power stability and reliability throughout the country. Senator Gatchalian.
Referred to the Committees on Energy and Public Services.
Additional reference of business measures from the House. Letter from the House informing the Senate that on 26 May 2026, it designated Representatives Almario, Kimbo, Garcia, Mercado, Revilla, Tulfo, Adyong, and Libanan as conferees to the Conference Committee on the disagreeing provisions of House Number 6636 and Senate Number 1966, institutionalizing the assistance to individuals in crisis situations programs of the DSWD, providing penalties for the violation of certain unlawful acts and appropriating funds therefore.
Referred to the Committee on Rules.
Letter from the House informing the Senate that on May 26, 2026, it passed the following House bills in which it requests the concurrence of the Senate. House Number 122, declaring March 17 of every year as Homonhon Landing Day, a special non-working holiday in Eastern Samar. 494, declaring October 5 of every year as Araw ng Del Gallego, a special non-working holiday in Del Gallego, Camarines Sur. 611, amending RA 10776, declaring May 8 of every year as Hermosa Day and a special working holiday and no-class day in schools in Hermosa, Province of Bataan. 671, declaring January 23 of every year special non-working holiday in Tanay, Rizal. 685, declaring March 8 of every year special non-working holiday in Province of Davao de Oro. 688, declaring August 1 of every year special non-working holiday in Compostela, Davao de Oro. 936, declaring July 22 of every year special non-working holiday in General Santos in commemoration of its Balaan Day celebration. 982, declaring August 13 of every year special non-working holiday in Ilocos Norte to commemorate the birth date of Master Weaver and Ilocano icon Magdalena Gamayo, to be known as Magdalena Gamayo Day. 1049, declaring March 7 of every year special non-working holiday in the city of Tagum, amending RA 9193. 1069, declaring December 15 of every year special non-working holiday in Amulong, Cagayan, in commemoration of its founding anniversary. 1076, declaring August 18 of every year special non-working holiday in Solana, Cagayan.
1278, declaring August 6 of every year special non-working holiday in Pilar, Sorsogon. 1414, declaring November 17 of every year as Araw ng Carmen, special non-working holiday in Carmen, Surigao del Sur. 1540, declaring December 12 of every year special holiday in a special non-working holiday in the municipality of San Juan, Batangas. 1695, declaring February 11 of every year special non-working holiday in Ibaan, Batangas. 2053, declaring June 16 of every year a special non-working holiday in Baybay, Leyte. 2224, declaring April 21 of every year special non-working holiday in Calamba, Laguna. 2658, December 13 of every year special non-working holiday in General Trias, Cavite. 2939, June 16 of every year special non-working holiday in Ilagan. 2953, declaring July 27 of every year special non-working holiday in Bacong, Negros Oriental. 3273, declaring February 1 of every year special non-working holiday in Camarines Norte, repealing RA 9090. House number 3572, declaring June 15 of every year special non-working holiday in Diabong, Samar. 3717, declaring October 2 of every year special non-working holiday in Solano, Nueva Vizcaya. 6433, declaring May 21 of every year special non-working holiday in the city of Malabon. 7030, declaring May 14 of every year special non-working holiday in Tumawini, Isabela. 9216, declaring September 11 of every year special non-working holiday in Ilocos Norte in commemoration of the birth anniversary of former President Ferdinand Edralin Marcos, to be known as Ferdinand Edralin Marcos Day. Local government.
Refer to the Committee on Local Government.
House number 9002, granting a legislative franchise to Camarines Sur 2 Electric Cooperative, Casureco 2, to construct, install, establish, operate, own, manage, and maintain a distribution system for the conveyance of electric power to the end users in the city of Naga and municipalities of Bonbon, Calabanga, Canaman, Magarao, Milaor, Minalabak, Pili, Siruma, and Tinambak, Camarines Sur. House number 9003, granting a legislative franchise to Camarines Norte Electric Cooperative, Canoreco, to construct, install, establish, operate, own, manage, and maintain a distribution system for the conveyance of electric power to the end users in the province of, in all municipalities of the province of Camarines Norte. 9004, granting a legislative franchise to Pangasinan 1 Electric Cooperative Inc., Panelco 1, to construct, install, establish, operate, own, manage, and maintain a distribution system for the conveyance of electric power to the end users in the city of Alaminos and municipalities of Agno, Anda, Bani, Bolino, Burgos, Dasol, Infanta, Mabini, Pangasinan. And House number 9005, granting a legislative franchise to Camarines Sur 1 Electric Cooperative, Casureco 1, to construct, install, establish, operate, own, manage, and maintain a distribution system for the conveyance of electric power to the end users in Libmanan, Cabusao, Sipocot, Ragay, Lupi, Pamplona, Pasacao, San Fernando, Gainza, and Camaligan, province of Camarines Sur.
Refer to the Committee on Public Services.
House number 9214, an act renaming the Dr. Jose N. Rodriguez Memorial Hospital in Caloocan to Dr. Jose N. Rodriguez Medical Center and Sanitarium, repealing Batas Pambansa Bill 94.
Refer to the Committee on Health and Demography.
House number 8392, declaring National Election Day as regular national non-working holiday, amending Section 26, Chapter 7, Book 1 of EO 292, the Administrative Code of 1987.
Refer to the Committee on Electoral Reforms and People's Participation.
8702, increasing the compulsory retirement age for uniformed personnel of the PNP from 56 years to 57 years old, amending Section 39 of RA 6975, the DILG Act, Department of Interior and Local Government Act of 1990 as amended.
Refer to the Committees on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs and Local Government.
House number 9000, granting the Times Broadcasting Network Corporation a franchise to construct, install, establish, operate, and maintain radio and television broadcasting stations in the Philippines. 9001, granting the Cagayan de Oro Media Corporation a franchise to construct, install, establish, operate, and maintain radio and television stations in the Philippines. And House number 9010, granting First Gas Pipeline Corporation a franchise to construct, install, own, operate, and maintain pipelines for the transportation and distribution of natural gas, petroleum, and petroleum products throughout the Philippines.
Refer to the Committees on Public Services.
Kain na tayo ng pan. With that, Mr. President, we have tackled all our items in the agenda today. I move that we adjourn session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Wednesday. I'm still waiting, baka may mag-object. Wednesday, Mr. President, August 5, 2026. I so move.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Wednesday, August 5, 2026.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.